So a lot of people on the assumption that knowledge is wisdom. So you have a lot of knowledge, then you are wiser than the other person. So why do we have that mentality?
I think that early on, I think people go through different stages of development. Right? When we're children, we need structure and we need safety. And so we need things to be definitive. Right? And when we're learning, right, we need to learn in a certain way to build our foundation. Right? We need to learn things, and those things tend to be facts. Those things tend to be information, right? If you don't have a basis of information, a basis of reality, then it becomes very difficult for you to have, I think, a foundation to see further on, right? To see beyond, right, where you are, right? So I think, I don't think people can make the leap from the beginning to wisdom without information in the middle, right? So we all go through a phase, I think, where we're building our context for the world. We're building our opinions. We're building our powers of reasoning. We're building our set of experiences, and those things tend to look like facts and those kinds of things. And then along the way, right, something happens. And I think this experience, to your point, right, I think there's sometimes this experience happens to us, and sometimes people seek this experience and can be able to gain this experience. But we start to realize that insight that I mentioned, that we've been learning all these facts. We've been striving. We've been trying to control, right? Trying to understand. And then finally we realize that we are not in control. We do not actually understand. We may know some things, but we don't fully understand almost anything in our lives. And we certainly don't control anything in our life. Almost everything in our life is out of our control, even though we spend much of our lives trying to control everything around us. And that's what I meant when I said these experiences of gaining wisdom tend to be painful experiences, because they feel like you're losing control. They feel like your life is falling apart, right? So the things that have taught my wife and I humility were things that are things that nobody would wish for. They're things where you do feel completely out of control. Whether it's something happening to your children, losing somebody that you care about, having a health challenge, something hitting you that makes you realize that my life is temporary and that I don't really control almost anything around me other than the way that I react to the things around me. So the things, my journey has not been, I didn't go out and try to acquire wisdom and gain wisdom. I got beat up by the world.
Wow.
and realized that, oh wow, what I thought I knew was only part of the picture, or was wrong. The things that I thought would bring me satisfaction and happiness were false. The things I thought I was controlling and managing were completely out of my control. And life showed me that, right? Sometimes in some very painful ways. But that doesn't mean that that everyone has to go through that same journey. I have met people, I know people who have been able to come to those realizations through a different path. Right? Through seeking, through through maybe they had more natural humility than I do. You know, maybe they had an upbringing, maybe they had teachings, they had mentors or people in their lives that taught them these things earlier on. But I think that everyone has to go through that transition of being focused on knowledge and things and control, right? They have to go through a phase of that to build their base, but then they have to move to the next phase. At some point, they have to move to the next phase, and they're either going to do it themselves, like try to get there themselves, or life is going to do it to them.